David Cameron played down this week's rebellion by 81 Tories in the Commons vote on a referendum on Britain's membership of the EU. But the current instability in the Eurozone seems likely to keep this issue live for the foreseeable future. The DUP's MPs voted for the referendum. Geoffrey Donaldson is with me. The SDLP's Mark Durkan, who voted against it, is in Derry. Geoffrey Donaldson, the Chancellor says solving the euro crisis would be the biggest possible autumn boost for the British economy. In those circumstances, surely even talk of a referendum is irrelevant and a distraction.
Well, it's going to cost us a huge amount of money to solve this problem that the Chancellor talks about. The agreement last night means doubling the amount of the bailout, and that means...
Well, the Chancellor says there'll be no direct input from Britain into that.
Well, then why is he worried? Why all of a sudden is this a crisis if it doesn't affect Britain? And I think these are issues that the people of the United Kingdom are entitled, finally, since 1975, to have a say on. I have never known, and I've been an elected politician now for quite a number of years, never been given the opportunity to have a vote on our membership and the nature of our membership of the European Union. And I've watched as our neighbours in the Republic have done it several times. I've watched as other European nations have had referenda on various aspects of their membership of the EU, and yet the people of the UK have been denied that opportunity.
But isn't a time of crisis exactly not the time to do it?
Well, we can talk about the timing. If they want to wait until early in the new year, fine. But it is the principle that we need to get agreement on. Many of the main parties at Westminster went to the people during the general election in 2010 and promised that they would get a referendum. Now they've broken that promise, and at least there were 111 MPs who were prepared to stand up and say the British people should have a say in this. And if the pro-EU spokespersons are so confident in their argument, then why are they afraid of taking that case to the people?
Donaldson, do you think a referendum should ask the question, should Britain pull out of the EU, or should it be along the lines of, would you like to see a clawing back of powers to the sovereign government of the United Kingdom?
Well, the motion put before Parliament this week, as Mark says, offered three options. One is to remain in the EU unchanged. The second option was to renegotiate the terms of our membership along the lines you have suggested. And the third was to pull out of the European Union. So people would be given a clear choice. And actually, when you look at the opinion polls, consistently they say that is what people want. They want to have a say on their future relationship with the European Union. And I think this would have given the government a very clear mandate to go and negotiate on whatever basis the referendum result suggested.
We are in this economic crisis. So much of our trade is with the EU. That's not going to change whether or not we are part of the EU. So in terms of the economic arguments, it doesn't matter whether we're in or out, does it?
Well, I would argue that being in the EU costs us money and it costs us jobs. The amount of regulation that is imposed by Brussels. You talk to business. One of the big issues with business is the amount of red tape, bureaucracy and regulation that is handed down by Brussels. It gets in the way of trade. And you take a country like Norway. Norway has a good trading relationship with the EU, yet is not bogged down in all the red tape and bureaucracy that comes with membership of the EU. So I think there are very powerful economic arguments for Britain to consider the option of leaving the EU as one possible way forward. And when you look at the mess the EU is in at the moment, and the Eurozone in particular, well, who could blame people for thinking that was a viable option?
David Cameron, Geoffrey Donaldson, said it was really about timing this issue. That's why he had a three-line whip. He wanted to make it clear that it was not that whether or not we would have a referendum, but when. So why did you make it more difficult for him?
You see, the kind of referendum I think that Mark and David Cameron are talking about is a bit different from the one I'm talking about. I think that we may well, as Mark suggests, get a referendum on some kind of agreement that is concocted by the members of the EU. But it will not ask the principal question. Do you wish to remain in the European Union? It'll say, are you in favour or against this new agreement that we've got? And that's very different from asking people on the principle of whether they want to be in the EU. That's why we believe they should be given that option.
Gentlemen, thank you both very much indeed.